the fastest show in sports.
The simple question between Game 3 and Game 4 of the Stanley Cup Final is, what the hell happened? I mean, you look at Game 3, we even came out on the show and said, if the Panthers play like that again and the Oilers play like that again, series is over. It's toast, it's done, put it in the book, it's done. Out comes Game 4. Panthers play a great first period. They roll off 3 goals, and then they go in the tank, or Edmonton gets better. All right, it's up to you. Me, personally, I think, it's one of those questions I hate, Jimmy. It's like when you give people an option. You go, did the Panthers play worse, or did the Oilers play better? I hate it when people come back and say, well, it's a combination of both, Ed. No. I'm not accepting this. From you, the hockey guy, I want one or the other. Did the Panthers go in the tank, or did the Oilers show what they're made of?
The Oilers showed what they're made of, and also showed us not to doubt them anymore. I mean, I don't know how many times they need to remind people not to doubt this team. I know when you look at this team, just because of the superstar talent they have, McDavid and Draisaitl, and then you got Bouchard on defense. When you look at this team, you're thinking offense, you're thinking finesse, you're never thinking grit and resilience. However, if you think about their track record throughout this playoff run, I mean, the first round, they were all but done against the Kings, down 0-2 after the first 2 games of the series. Then they ripped off 4 straight. They've trailed in every series they've been in and still found a way to win. And yet, and I'm not saying by any means was I saying they were going to do what they did in Game 4. I still gave them a better chance than I saw most people giving them. But I just found it interesting that so many people wrote them off after Game 3. I know it was a stinker, but that's what happens. Sometimes you lay stinkers. I mean, I think back, Ed, to 2019, Stanley Cup Final, Bruins and Blues, right? The Bruins go into, I think it was St. Louis. Yeah, they went into St. Louis in Game 6, because Game 7 was at home. They go into St. Louis. They absolutely destroy the Blues to tie the series after having lost Game 5 at home. And then they come back in Game 7 and just they're flat. And St. Louis pounces. And, of course, Jordan Binnington was unreal. But what I'm trying to say is every game is unique in these playoff series. And I think that you can bounce back a lot better maybe than you can in a regular season because you don't have a choice. You have to put it behind you. You have to move forward. And that's what the Oilers did. And I give them a lot of credit for the way they not only bounced back from the previous game, but also, as you said, from that first period.
Well, but you have to admit it, and I'm going to go back to something you said here. You do have to admit that, as I stated in our show earlier this week, if the Panthers played again like they did in Game 3, where they had the Oilers on their heels, they made them look like amateurs, they were taking advantage of everything, they were goading them, the Oilers blew off in their emotion. But if the Panthers played like that and the Oilers did not respond, this series was over.
Correct. And I think you're absolutely right, Ed. And I think one thing you have to ask yourself, and while I'm giving the Oilers a lot of credit, I don't know. I mean, I'm not in the dressing room with Florida. You wonder if they go into that dressing room in that first intermission of Game 4, combined from Game 3, so those 4 periods, right? And they're like, we got this thing in the bag.
Oh, no. Come on.
They could have got a little complacent. You never know.
Come on, with those veterans. I mean, come on, the veterans on that roster, and Marchand there as well this year with the extra kick that he's given them late this season. I can't believe for one second these guys would look each other in the eye and say, oh, we got this, man. We're in the boat. I can't.
But I think it's in your subconscious that you look at and you say, I mean, we've got this. And that's what I'm trying to say. That's why I referenced that Game 6 for the Blues Bruins, is because I saw it. I was interviewing those guys, and it wasn't like they were cocky by any means, or they were openly saying, this is ours, and we just have to show up and win it. But I think in your subconscious, sometimes you can say, we're doing everything right now. What more can we do? And so I think the Oilers adjusted really well. I give the coaching staff a lot of credit there. They finally figured out a way to counter that forecheck. They were getting the puck out of their zone faster. And I just wonder if there was, I guess complacent is too strong a word, but I wonder if there was a satisfaction, so to speak. I just think that they let the Oilers gain a little hope there, and the Oilers pounced.
With the way they now play in the next, it's now 2 out of 3. So now that we have a best 2 out of 3, I got to tell you, I know that 2 of the games are in Edmonton, and normally that would give you a cause to think, oh, well, the Oilers are going to have the advantage here. The
Not in
home
hockey.
ice has not been an advantage at all in this playoffs. I
No.
haven't seen that anywhere. Not only
Yep.
that, but I'm sorry. Even if I get all this grief from my friends all the time, as a Bruins fan, they go, "Oh, you can't root for the Panthers." And I've said before, I'm pulling for the Panthers because I want to see Marchand get the Stanley Cup. I want to see him have another ring. I want him to go back to Boston. I want him to go knock on Cam Neely's door and say, "Hi, how you doing, bud? Hey, you want to look at this? Okay, now I got two of them and one I got without you. Although I got this because of you, because thank you, you sent me to Florida. But in all this, I can't see the Panthers losing this series. Can't see it. I've come to that point, Murph, where I wouldn't bet against these guys if they were down 3-love. I wouldn't bet
Yeah.
against them. They're that good a team.
Well, in the one, I think it was it during it's during Game 3. I said to some of my friends, this Panthers, and I know it's hard to cross-reference sports and compare and contrast sports, but I'm just thinking in terms, because if they win this cup, we can call them a dynasty. We agree? 3 straight finals, 2 out of
Yeah.
3.
See,
Come on.
I can't. I can call them a mini dynasty, I guess, if you're there 3 times and you win 2. That's kind of like hitting the outside envelope of dynasty. It's just
Okay.
almost there. If they got, let's say, if they got 3 cups in 5 years
Uh-huh.
or 4 cups in 6 years, we're talking like Islanders and old Oilers sort of things.
Then this
I think then I go dynasty.
Okay, so then this makes my comparison I'm gonna make even
Okay.
better, because I think
I'm going to
you go
catch all
back.
kinds of hell from the Panthers fans on that one, man. They're going to be
Let's
throwing stuff at the screen.
let's go back, Ed, and I believe you were still in Boston on the aforementioned CN8 and doing Sports Pulse at the time. Let's go back to the '03 and the '04 Patriots and sort of that, or even we just stretch it out the '02
Okay.
to '05, let's say, okay?
Okay.
That's who they remind me of right now. Like, they're that good, and they were going into games. They're not fancy. They're not running up the score too much, but they're so balanced. They're so perfect at every little thing that they need to do to win. They've got complete structure. They have a clutch goaltender. Patriots had a clutch quarterback. It it just reminds me of this team, like, they just I don't know if, like, how you could say this, because you would think they wouldn't be so quiet in doing it, but they're like quiet assassins out there. They just go out and they win. And I think if they win this Stanley Cup, I compare them to the sort of, I guess, like you said, a mini dynasty where they're, and again, they're not doing it with a lot of, I know they have stars. I'm not taking anything away from Barkov or Kachuk or Marchand or Seth Jones or Bobrovsky, but it's a team. It's not, like I was saying earlier, you think about Edmonton, you think of 2 guys right away. When you think Florida, you think team. You don't think of 1 guy.
Well,
And
let's be
that's
fair.
why they're so impressive.
Let's be fair. Every single hockey fan in America, in Canada, wherever it is right now, they are steamingly rooting against the Panthers. They hate the Panthers.
And what did they do
This
against the
team
Patriots back
is
then, right?
hated. Look, this team is hated more than Tampa Bay, even though Tampa Bay also has that Florida hook to it. And we all know that people who are big hockey fans go, you can't play hockey down in the South,
I would say
which we've
that.
already proven is a fallacy.
Come on.
But I see the Panthers as being that hated franchise. You guys are South Florida. You guys are Miami Beach, Fort Lauderdale Beach. You're just an offshoot here. Bullshit. This is a really good franchise right now. But
Yeah.
would you agree that everybody in the National Hockey League would just love to see the Panthers lose and the Oilers win?
Yeah, I definitely think that. And I think, a lot of people would love to see the best player in the game, and Connor McDavid, finally raise a cup, right? There's something about a league having a superstar that hasn't won that championship yet, right? We waited a few years for Jordan. You wait a few years for other players to get it sometimes in different sports. I think the league would like that as well. But at the same time, I think the league really loves the Panthers too. I mean, they have, like you just said, everybody hates them. So they have their villain now. They have their villain.
Yes.
They have their Detroit Pistons of the late 80s, early 90s, right? They've got that team, and it
That's an
sells.
excellent analogy because the Panthers play a lot like it. And I've said this before.
Right?
The Panthers are, I'm going to smack you in the mouth. I'm going to knock your teeth out. I'm going to give you a black eye. Now let's see how you come back, big boy. Give me a shot. Let's go. I see that in the Panthers, and some people are going to say, well, they're dirty. I've heard that before, and I've even had a few times where I've gotten into it with some Panthers fans where I've said some of the stuff we've seen during the regular season borders on being a little bit of a dirty player.
Oh yeah.
But that's what hockey is.
Yes.
You have to step into that role every now and then, or else you don't win big games.
Yeah. And you look at all the teams, Ed. Let's just say, let's stay since we came back from the 04-05 lockout, right? A lot of the teams that win the cup find a way. I think of the Bruins in 11. I think of some of the Blackhawks teams even. I think of the Capitals in 18 when they broke through, and you referenced the Lightning as well. They find a way, and the Blues in 19 were a good example, probably the closest to the Panthers, to walk that line, to really get under the skin of the opponent, play the mental game, agitate, and somehow get out of there before you end up in the sin bin. Before you get that penalty, they find a way to make the ref blow the whistle on the retaliatory as opposed to the guy initiating it. I've never seen in my life covering hockey, and I've been covering almost 25 years, I've never seen a team better than the Panthers at doing that.
Then would you also agree, and this is something else I said earlier this week, but seeing as you're the hockey guy, every organization in the National Hockey League right now wants to be the Florida Panthers. They have now set a new blueprint and a new idea of how to put a team together, the kind of players to bring in, the kind of culture to create that the other teams, and I even brought this up with a friend of mine who's another Bruins fan, said, the Bruins right now want to be the Panthers. No, we don't want to be. Yes, you do. You want to be them right now because they're that good. Everybody wants to be that franchise.
Oh, totally. And you can see, Ed, in the way they're drafting now, in the way they're making free agent signings, in the trade acquisitions, everything's getting bigger again, right? When we came out, I referenced that lockout. When we came out of that lockout, small players were able to get away with being small, right? I mean, you were able to, if you had speed and skill, you could wing it and you could still make an impact in the NHL. Not like, the games I grew up on, you grew up on, was all about big, bad, bruising hockey. Now we're going back to that. And I think another thing that the Florida Panthers have done well is they've dispelled the notion that you have to build through the draft. Look at how many of their key players weren't drafted by them.
True.
Right? Their goalie, Kachuk, Marchand. Yep. Seth Jones now.
I don't think Barkov. Did Barkov come through the system?
Barkov was drafted by them. He was in 16. Yep. Or 15 maybe. Who else we got? I mean, a lot of them, like all these guys, a lot of their key players have come in. Gus Forsling, who's been huge on the defense, was from the Blackhawks. He was brought in there when Quenneville was the coach because Quenneville knew him from Chicago. So they've had a lot of guys that Bill Zito has been able to go out and fit in perfectly. And that's why I'm with you. I think a lot of teams right now are trying to emulate them because they know how to manage. They know how to put the pieces together and solve the puzzle better than anyone else right now in the NHL, and maybe better than any team in a while in the NHL.
That's all, folks.